We better get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Start off with roll call. We have Tommy here, Keith here, and Red here. We have a forum, so we can proceed. Let's go ahead and review our minutes from our last meeting. If anybody noticed anything, I don't recall seeing anything.
Well, chair spelled correctly.
Huh?
Chair spelled correctly, so.
Got that fixed? If no changes are needed, I would entertain a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting. Motion by Rain.
Second that.
Say second by Keith. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And on to our first and only agenda item. Lot line adjustment.
So what do we have here? Been 9 months in the making?
9 months.
Is all. So it's got complicated in a hurry. Lance Nelson here owns this property parcels, can't see, 2 and 3 in the map that you see there. He's wanting to do a lot line adjustment and split parcel number 2 off of number 3. Let's see, no, let me back up. We're wanting to amend that line and give him a little more property on lot number 3, correct?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what we're doing.
yeah.
Okay. So lot line adjustment, giving a little more property to lot number 3, taking it away from lot number 2. We still have over 11,000 square feet with lot number 1, which complies with our R110 zone for that area. The reason the complication, Roosevelt City had, or has, well, we could say past tense, had a anomaly, a line that ran through there that nobody knew what the heck it was for. Best that we can come up with, years ago, the volleyball pit up there used to be, everybody probably remembers the ice skating rink up there, used to be there.
It used to be the soup.
Used to be the water. Look here. So this pipe was more than likely a overflow or something that serviced the old water system of Roosevelt City. So it ran through Steve's property there. It was deep. We potholed it, tried to figure out what to do with it. We ended up capping it on Roosevelt City side, so there wasn't any chance of water getting into that and flooding anybody's basements or anything of that nature. So it took several months to figure out what to do, but we're to the point now where we can move forward and approve this lot line adjustment for lands. And this would be in Camelot subdivision up by the smaller Little League ball field on Lagoon Street.
So is the ball field right next to it?
This
Okay.
Let me pull the GIS.
Yeah, that's Ron showing we live on.
So this is the ball field here.
Okay.
And Steve's house and then the lot that we're talking about.
Can you still put a house and meet all the setbacks? And
Yes.
will it be similar size? It's not gonna be a tiny house.
It wouldn't be a tiny home. He could build a house there. It is in the cul-de-sac, so the frontage width would be
Frontage is
sufficient.
sufficient,
Yeah. It's an approved building lot still. It would have to be tailored, to fit with the setbacks, but as far as the area and the setbacks, it would be
A larger home still.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Or a home that fits the neighborhood. should-
Similar size, yes.
There you go. So
Don't even make it so small, fit a single like.
right.
Okay, and the only issue was,
Our water line. We were trying to figure out what was, because basically that lot line adjustment would be right on top of our. So we were trying to figure out, do we
I thought that line was over in Wynn's property. I thought
it
they
is
hid
what he did, yes. So that's where it travels from here through winds, and from there we have no idea. So we decided to take care of it once and for all.
Cast iron line.
It's ductile, ductile steel.
okay, so that's all.
Yeah, that's been remedied, it's capped, as far as our attorney and everything goes, we're satisfied with the direction we took. So moving forward now, there is no line, there will be no easement. Whatever line is in the ground is now Mr. Nelson's, so we've taken care of our responsibility on our end to cap and leave any drainage of any kind to run down. So,
Okay, no issue if he puts in the basement, excavates, we're all good. Okay, cool.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve this lot line adjustment.
I move that we approve the lot line adjustment.
Motion by Keith,
Okay.
second by Tommy, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, that easy. 9 months in the making for 5 minutes.
So do you own both lots?
Yeah, I own both lots. And the reason why I wanted the lot line adjustment in the first place is because when I bought the first property, I bought the house and everything was there, and then I bought the second property and I had somebody interested into building a house there. And so I had the people come and do the survey on it, and then I noticed, well, doesn't match where my fence is.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're here. I just wanted to make sure that property and that property matched as far as I have a vinyl fence there and everything, and
Yeah.
it was like 9 feet over this way, and so that's how it all got started.
Okay.
So,
Is your intent to sell that lot then?
down the road, yeah. I was gonna do something with it, but
Is it required by
I
the
own the
state?
lot next to me.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
it's like, and there's weeds there, and there's maintenance and
Yeah.
stuff, and I thought, oh, somebody might want to. And it's real, where the lot is, it's really dirty and sandy, and I thought if somebody built a house there, it would make things a lot nicer.
Right.
Well, I find it interesting that Drew remembers that was a skating rink at one time in the city system.
He didn't know that. We had to do some research.
I filled it up back. in the
Oh, you
80s.
did, you did.
I came to the city 82, 83. Fire hose, we filled it up.
Oh, really? They just did it a couple of years ago, but they did this other one though?
I don't
I
know,
think
the only thing I
I
know
think
is
they
that
tried a couple of years ago.
in the spring,
Uh,
that's when the water got into the stake center.
Oh,
And there's still mold in the stake center
I
today.
see.
That was the last time. And then I was surprised a couple of years ago, I heard that they
Thank you. Hey,
killed it
thank you for your
again.
time.
Oh, They
Appreciate
forget
it.
what happened 40 years ago.
Probably, yes.
Tuesday? Third Tuesday of the month?
Yeah, Tuesday the 21st.
21st.
21st, okay, awesome.
5:30.
All right, perfect. I'll be there, for sure. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Now, ongoing manager report.
Yeah. Okay. So, a couple things on the report.
This is not in Roosevelt City.
This is not in Roosevelt City, but when you see that picture, what do you think?
Those neighbors are gonna punch each other at some point.
Right.
Need a car that turns a tight radius.
That's right. Okay, so this was in a field trip for a planning conference I attended last fall. And they were showing us alternative methods to building in more densely populated neighborhood subdivisions. So what we're experiencing in the state of Utah and the country is they're promoting ADUs now, accessory dwelling units. The state of Utah is at the capital level right now for, it's a House bill, Senate bill right now. And they are going to make it mandatory for municipalities to come up with affordable housing. And the way that they're doing this is helping people convert or add to an existing home inside or outside with an accessory dwelling unit or an internal dwelling unit. So they can compensate their mortgage by renting a portion of this out. So their legislation reads something of the sort that moving forward, if we do not have, we have to have at least 25% of our zoning that has this ADU possibilities or a plan in place where we get fined $250 a day until we get a plan put together. In fact, they're taking that money and putting it in an Olean water fund to help and assist families in getting ADUs put together. So it's coming. We aren't experiencing this quite yet because we have open territory, but you can imagine Salt Lake areas, that's why they're becoming creative without ADUs to get more houses in these neighborhoods. So this is a concept that I met with a developer, a couple of developers actually. They're wanting to maximize their ground. These particular homes are what they call a courtyard. So this one was a PUD, a public use, private use development, planned unit development. And basically it'd be an HOA. City would not take any responsibility for infrastructure, roads, sidewalk. So this is a solely HOA and PUD. So the thought come to us as planners here and the city, would we be willing to do something like this and still maintain the road for Roosevelt City if we kept the specs of our standards and they take everything from the curb, sidewalk, gutter and can put these houses in, say, a 6,000 square foot, but all the meters and everything would be on the road. Where traditionally, we don't accept this at all because it's a shared driveway to multiple houses. That portion would be private, but it would be basically what you see here in the HOA. The city would not have the responsibility of this type of an infrastructure, only to the curb, sidewalk. We've had it pitched, there's interest with a developer that wants to develop something similar to this. So we can't stop it. If they want to do an HOA, it's out of our hands. So
With minimum lot rules, that would be acceptable.
with minimum lot rules, it would be, yes. There's still 6,000 square foot.
Is this in an area, I assume, where there is sewer service?
Yes, yes. It wouldn't be septic.
PUDs are different, where they can, with the PUD, they kind of can fudge things a little bit.
How do you, I don't understand how you meet a minimum lot rule and do that.
The thing you're missing on your lot is you're being connected to the city because you share
Exactly.
to the
Common
street.
driveway.
Yeah, with the common driveway, that's the part you'd not be.
I mean, isn't that the same as a flag driveway, the flag lot?
Exactly. It would be basically, like I said, a courtyard, flag type.
We hate those.
Why do we hate them? We don't have to take care of them. The reason we hate them is because we have to push snow. We have to take care of the water. We
Yeah,
have to
but
take care of the
where's all the water for this gonna go? Where are you gonna push the snow for this?
Right.
That's all.
Who's gonna maintain the
That's all
snow?
under the HOA.
That's not normal.
Yeah, but the
How do you get a fire truck in there and back it up?
Well, you're talking 150 feet. So the fire truck parks on the road. And they don't pull in these. These aren't meant for, this would be their private drive. We don't pull up. So it's just a concept, something to think about. I mean, it's out of our control anyway. If they want to do a PUD, they're gonna do this anyway. What we can control is though, the width of the street, the sidewalks, the curb and gutter. So if we work with these developers and still maintain the roads and still have a width so fire trucks can come down. And we can still offer the service of.
Yeah, we got
snow
a sidewalk and curb and gutter.
Sure.
There's no sidewalk and curb and gutter.
Right. It's just a concept. So don't take this for the gospel. This, like I said, this is their PUD.
I've
The
seen
city
them,
has nothing to do with this.
I've seen them in South Jordan and live by these are a nightmare.
What do we have for, accessory dwelling?
Yeah,
We don't allow them.
We don't
They're
have them at all.
they all leave at 8 o'clock at the same dang time. None of them wants to shovel any more than their driveway than they have.
And that's their problem. It's not the city's problem.
Correct, but it still comes back to.
It won't. It's totally private. It's basically like, for example, a Reba road.
Yeah.
They take care of their own. It's a PUD, totally PUD. Roosevelt City has nothing to do with it. They seem to get along.
I have a grandson, a great grandson who lives in the Bluffdale area. And all that type of stuff. And when I go to visit him, I have to park a quarter mile away
Sure.
and walk.
Yeah,
There's
every
no
time there's an
public-
event,
There's nothing but private parking, there's no public
they're on the
parking.
side of the street.
Yep.
Those are a city nightmare.
Well, that's where we could have our rules set up that the roads need to have on-street parking width to allow that. I've been to some where my sister-in-law is in Levi. One car at a time passes by, you know?
Yeah,
Like I say,
And
we,
so that's where we can do it. That's, our role as the city planning is, we would say this needs to be this wide, 66 foot easement, whatever we do, you know?
Yeah.
That's what we can control.
it's coming down the pipe, so I bring this up to you. So just be kicking it around. The idea is out there. Developers are talking about this. I've seen it. It's coming. Whether we like it or not, I think we're going to do it because they're going to do this without us or not because it can't be done under a PUD.
Well,
The idea is to keep you out of your car.
What's that?
The idea is to keep you out of your car and use public transportation.
Yeah.
well, no, there's garages there.
Right.
You can't park in their common drive, I'm sure. I don't know all the ins and outs of this, and they just took us kind of on a field trip to show us the concept.
So there's rules and restrictions on shared driveways currently, correct? Like that.
We don't have any, no. I mean, you have to face the street, you have to have a frontage. So basically, unless it's a
So
duplex of some
in
sort.
this situation, 2 homes would be allowed, the 2 further ones wouldn't. Because the 2 homes would be touching
Could share
the
it.
street. Yeah.
Exactly, facing the street, where
Yeah.
this would be facing
These
the
are
common street.
Yeah.
But that would not be city responsibility. The city
Yeah.
responsibility would end at the back of the sidewalk.
Yep.
The meters would be at the sidewalk. So anything that happens in there, sewer, water, would not be the responsibility of the city whatsoever. But what it would do, affordable housing, right?
Yeah.
It's more maximizing of the property for the developer so you can sell it for cheaper. And that's what they're looking at, dollars and cents. Trying to help people get a costly, an affordable house.
Now you do something like this with twin homes too. And
Exactly.
even more.
So it's an option. I mean, it's thinking outside the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, we're a ways off here, but you drive in other places and this is the reality. It's just what they're facing.
If that bill passes, what's the expected time that,
They'll implement, I'm sure we'll have the time to put that plan together. And obviously you guys will be at the forefront of that discussion, but the R16 zone would be exempt. It's a 6,000 square foot or more. So basically we can wash all of our R16 out, which is great because they don't have a lot of room for an ADU. But if you take in everything, our 110, 120s, if we even designated it 120s and 10s, for example, that would be over 20% of our zone.
Yeah.
And they would have enough room to accommodate the ADUs. So just food for thought. I think we've got some time to keep around, but just be thinking about these things. Some ideas because it's coming.
I'd like to see something for dwelling, accessory dwelling units.
What's interesting right now, we do allow duplexes.
Right.
Technically, by the letter of the code, the owner of record has to live in one side, the other side. Does that happen?
Not much.
So
Maybe
with
it's
this,
just like the PUD of the condos north of Drive. The PUD, the original PUD says the owner has to live in it. They aren't supposed to be rentals. But all those are rentals. There's very few that actually own those.
Exactly.
And so that's partially on city for not enforcing it and let it slip by all that, you know.
So with this new law, it sounds like the owner of record does have to reside in the one side. Can rent the other side out. And you can only have 2 in one. So it's not like you can have a 3-plex or 4-plex, unless it's zoned for it, obviously.
You know, over in Naples, they allow casitas, but it has to be a relative living in that second home on that same lot. You can't rent it to non-resident people.
Gotcha.
And so they do have something like that, at least, you know.
I'd rather see people add on to their house or do something and rent out a portion than see that.
Mhm.
That's, like, go to Vineyard, it's a traffic nightmare.
Everybody's a nightmare out there.
Because of this, they've just maximized as many houses in a small space. there's nowhere to park. Any like, let's say on a Sunday, each one of them tries to have a family gathering. That is gonna be a nightmare.
So I should have took another picture. They did accommodate for parking on their streets. They actually had diagonal parking. They had a stall. I believe in our code, you have to have at least 2.5 per dwelling.
If we can maximize the street width and stuff, and people wanna live like that, that's fine, but if we have teeny roads, and there's no way for anybody to get in and out when there's any sort of event
This is
inside of
why,
there.
this is why I bring this up as far as the city controlling the width of the road. Because if you go into this, there is a tiny road because the city did not have control.
Right, that
There's a-
doesn't work.
Because it's an HOA and a PUD, we lose that control. So if we work with them and set our perimeters and make them have some off-street parking and I think furthermore, not parking on the side of the street, but have some parking stalls.
Designated parking.
Yes,
That way we can control the snow removal and everything.
because where's the snow gonna go?
Same place.
We haven't melted for 2 months.
So just, like I said, just food for thought for now.
Anything else coming down the pipeline as well? Any
Where are you
big
gonna put the
things
snow?
that you've heard of?
As far as legislation,
Yeah,
there's a bunch, but I don't know, it's more on the building codes and things of that nature, but nothing on the planning and zoning per se.
I haven't paid attention as much as you.
No, there's a lot on the building side of things, but, and the ADUs, it's opening up a whole new can of worms for fire protection and fire separation. And so on the building side, we're scratching our heads thinking, handle this, but, anyway, it's for affordable housing. That's what they're looking at. Utah is promoting that and they will have funding available for families. So anyway, something to think about, kick around. Tiny homes, again, we're kind of stalemated on this because the IBC, International Code Council, hasn't really specified what is involved in a tiny home, what can be allowed, what cannot. So it defaults back to the regular size of a living area, a kitchen, a dwelling
What
unit.
is the
So-
definition? I mean,
Exactly. So we don't have a good place to start. Utah doesn't have a good place to start. I attended some trainings last week at the building conference, and everybody's in the same boat we are. What do we do with these tiny homes? Container homes. What do we do with these? So the code is starting to address them. It's starting to get a little bit of attention, but right now, I just don't feel comfortable in pioneering that.
Are
Strategy.
people actually living in them, or every tiny home community I see are Airbnbs? People aren't actually full-time residents. These are rental Airbnbs.
Across the country and some of the research I've done, and I think Sunshine's done a little research as well, they are residing in these homes. So it's, a lot
All
of
those
us
who want that minimalist lifestyle, they don't have stuff.
with
But
children.
what percentage?
I haven't dove into it, that would be something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
there's
those
all
are
these,
outliers.
there's all these shows on TV about tiny houses and stuff, you know, I watched one the other day, they built a 280 square foot, you know, basically a 10 by 28 travel trailer size. And it was on a trailer. And the thing that comes to my mind is, okay, if they're gonna do it, fine, but they gotta put them on a big lot.
So
Because this is a fad that's gonna go away.
if they have wheels, we no longer have regulation, UDOT does. So if they can't be licensed, they don't go on the road. So they kind of help us a little bit as far as that goes. You know, they can't transport these things if they don't meet UDOT standards, so.
But if they wanna just plop it on a lot,
Then we have regulations right now, but that's what I'm saying, it's best that we don't pioneer this until they get some code in place.
We let somebody else be the
That's
guinea
kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We funded it down the road, but I think we indefinitely need to fund it. So everybody's in the same boat we are. So we'll learn from their mistakes. Would be my suggestion.
do we have real demand or?
No, we did have one inquiry, but they decided to go to more of a townhome apartment complex instead of tiny homes. Other than the one, we haven't had any. So that is my update unless you guys, another update, we have reached out to 2 new members
Oh, yeah.
of the that will be joining the planning commission, Dale Tribe, Kyle Schmoot. So they weren't able to make it tonight. Next Wednesday, they should be.
They're scheduled to be appointed, at the meeting on the seventh. So provided council is okay with that.
Next Tuesday, they were gonna be.
Who was that besides Kyle?
Dale Tribe.
They'll try.
What's the procedure for him leaving and filling his seat?
He doesn't get to leave.
You guys will vote on a new chair at your next meeting.
So we'll reorganize.
A chair and a vice chair at that point. And the way I read it, chair, you could actually vote every year if you wanted to vote a new chair. But yeah, you'll just vote.
Do we restructure yearly, just re-vote in, or do we just maintain what's there?
It seems like some years we did, but others we just leave it till somebody feels there's a needed change.
May, not a shall.
Probably would be a good idea to just reorganize every year and vote the same one back in, so.
That's what has happened in the years. They just said, yeah, they will, somebody nominate me and leave it at that, and so.
Traditionally, that's.
And before me, it was Jean, and she was it forever.
Okay, that's all the update I have, just, and like I said, if they are approved, then they will come back in April for swearing in the commissioner. They won't swear them in the council, they're just gonna be.
They're gonna wait till the meeting.
They'll have to be sworn in here.
They can also be sworn in, I believe, just in Rhonda's office if for some reason we can't fit it in with the meeting or something happens.
Or if you don't have a meeting, or.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other business we need to bring up? Most things. If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
We adjourned.
Motion by Keith. Second by Ray, all in favor? Thank you, everybody.